podcast about something where each week we dive deep into whatever it is we find interesting. I'm your host, Calvin, and joining me again from an empty movie theater, because that's where he was last time, so he's still there. He waited a whole week, still there.
Still
Co-host
fucking here.
Nick Richardson. Have they been filtering in and out, anything like that?
No, man, I'm still fucking here. They're still playing the goddamn previews.
Oof. It's rough. It must be a Marvel movie.
It's unbelievable.
Got like 1,000 previews.
It's a Sony Marvel venture.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
So we are back for part 2 of Movie Superlatives. For the 2010s. If you missed part 1 last week, go back and listen to it. It's not necessarily required, but you may be missing some context on some things. So go back and listen, then listen to this, or do it in reverse order. Maybe that'll be fun. I don't know. We're putting them out in this order.
We talked about some sweet movies.
Yes, we gave out, last week we gave out the most surprising movie of the last decade, the most disappointing movie of the last decade, the best performance, the best character, the most forgettable movie, and the most rewatchable movie. That was last week on part 1. Go back and listen if you haven't yet. But now we're giving out, again, it's 2010s, the full decade of movie superlatives. We're giving out, this week we are doing the most important movie, culturally, the worst movie, the best movie, and our subjective favorite movie.
Boom.
Which was very hard to whittle down to just one, so we may have more to talk about there.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that, actually.
Oh, we'll get there.
We'll fucking get there, buddy.
Recap of the rules: 1 movie per award, 1 award per movie, as long as you can justify that the movie fits in this category, which it's easy for this. If it was released in theaters or on streaming between 2010 2019, it works. And we had to have watched the movie, because why would we give an award to something we haven't seen? Looking at you, Oscar voters.
That's daddy.
And just for me, in case you didn't listen to part 1, I had a potential 597 movies to choose from, which is a conservative estimate. Just put all these lists together, then I tried to categorize them where they might fit for awards. And so as we go through, I'll be saying how many nominations, basically, how many movies were nominated for the award before I actually give the award to the thing that won.
I was not that thorough.
You're
I came
not.
up with like 5 or 6 in my head, and then I whittled it.
I can't
down
do
from
that
there.
stuff. I can't do it in my head, man. I'm afraid I'll leave something out.
I usually do it while I'm working out, so I'm fucking annoyed and I'm sweaty and I'm miserable. So it's like, okay, I have something to focus on. That helps, and it just burns
That's
into
true.
my memory and my brain.
That makes sense.
It does.
So, let's get right into it. The first award we're giving out today is the most important movie of the decade, 2010 to 2019. This is in terms of cultural significance. You know, what's going to have a big impact from now until the future. I'll go first this time. I had a potential 6 movies to choose from for this award,
Sounds like me.
and it came down to The Social Network from 2010.
Ooh, that's a good pick, dude. Damn.
It's such a great movie and such a great performance by Jesse Eisenberg, but that's not really why this movie is important. Because in like 5 to 10 more years, we're going to look back at this movie as Exhibit A in the fall of the Facebook.
God, I hope so.
Facebook is just an absolutely horrid place to be. I
fucking hate it. I do not have a Facebook.
Follow at Podcast About Something on Facebook, by the way. You don't have to. I just put it there to run ads, and we don't get that much from it, so I don't really care if you follow it or not. But if you want to, go ahead. We put no content on Facebook.
Yeah, Twitter's better. We put a lot
Twitter's
of stuff
way
on
better.
there.
Yeah, Twitter's way better. Follow us on Twitter at APA something, at alone_podcast. I got it right that time. And just as a company, not only is the site just a disgusting place to be, the company themselves, they have zero morals. They don't give a fuck that they have zero morals.
Like, oh yeah, no.
I don't
He's
really
like proud of it.
Yeah, I don't really care that your company has zero morals. I don't require companies that I give patronage to be like morally outstanding by any stretch of the means. Just don't fucking like be so arrogant and disgusting about it. Like, I don't care how companies conduct themselves, and like they wouldn't care if I did care. So to me, it's kind of a moot point. The problem with Facebook is completely different. They aren't just completely morally bankrupt, which many companies are. I do business with many of the companies that are. Don't really care. It's that their alien robot overlord is just so damn smug about it.
Dude, he is a fucking robot. I was gonna say the same shit.
He's an alien robot. Let's be real here.
Cybernetic organism.
Yeah. Whenever they get caught doing something shady, which happens a lot, and it's going to continue to happen because they're not going to stop, he's just like, yeah, we were doing that. And then
I didn't know that was wrong. Oh
right,
my god, I'm sorry.
It's never like, we were doing it, we were trying to get away with it, you caught us, fine, whatever, we'll take the penalty. It's, we were doing it to help you, actually. They're not. They never are. They're doing it to help themselves. And besides, you should have known that we were doing this thing if you had just looked at our code and, you ran it through your favorite compiler, then you debugged it, then you translated it to Arabic, then to German, and then back to English, you would have seen right there in your face in module 457, line 1207. And I know from a coding standpoint that was all gibberish and doesn't actually make sense.
From a normal person's standpoint,
that's kind of the point of it. Right. That's the point of it. He's like, oh, no, it's in our terms. You didn't see it there? And it's like, well, no, because you didn't say it like a person would say it. You said it like an alien robot would say it.
Well, no one's going to read 5,000 pages of terms. It's just not going to
Well, that's true, too. And Zuckerberg, he thinks he's like this altruistic and he's doing everything for some greater good, which the greater good happens to be himself. And it's never actually that way. Not even close.
Robots.
Yeah, he's just so damn smarmy about it. That's the problem with Facebook.
God damn it.
And with Zuckerberg.
This is why you are the best co-host ever, Calvin. Smarmy, you cheeky fuck.
Like,
love it.
Fine, you have all these privacy violations and you're mining data that you said you weren't. Whatever. I don't care if you're giving me the best experience possible. Don't fucking tell me you did it for me. You're doing it to sell ads.
Well, that and
you don't give a shit what I like about your site.
You know that little punk robot fuck has punked out
alien robot.
Alien robot. He's punked out most of the United States government. Like he's gotten real close and be like, I know you fucked yada yada's wife, Jeff. Just saying, bud. Those wiener pics, those are going on the internet. Yeah, and he gets what he wants after that. He's just very good at being smarmy.
Yeah.
If that's the correct way to say it. And Jesse Eisenberg definitely pulls that off in Social Network.
Right, yeah. So I wanted to get back to the actual movie now that I'm done with my Facebook rant. The Social Network does such a great job of planting seeds of this behavior in a way that common people like us can understand. You can see very clearly that even as Jesse Eisenberg plays Zuckerberg as this kind of charming, smarmy dickhead, he's still a huge dickhead. And so you could go back and look at this movie, and with all the things that we've seen happen with Facebook recently, the privacy issues, the Cambridge Analytica scandal, the 2016 election, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I could go on for days about all the shady shit that they've done in like the last 5 years even. And
last 10 minutes.
It shines kind of this new light on the major players in this movie and how a person that starts off like this turns out to be the alien robot overlord he is now. Like the little things that we think are kind of quirky and charming in the Social Network are actually just dickhead moves that aren't super dickhead moves yet.
They're traits of an alien robot overlord.
Exactly. He's building his alien robot empire at that moment.
Fuck.
And so I think issues around Facebook are going to continue to grow until it's not going to be able to sustain itself anymore at some point. And, we'll always have this movie to look back on and see how that fall began. And then, when it actually falls, we'll get a sequel, and it'll be a great sequel.
Oh, it'd be so good. And Jesse Eisenberg will be like 35 or 40 when...
He'll be there for it, yeah.
Oh, yeah, when whatchamacallit is Mark Zuckerberg is the same age.
Exactly. So Eisenberg will be there for it. Sorkin would probably love to write it, and he'd write the hell out of it. So there's a lot going for a sequel to this movie, and I just think people are going to be able to look back at this movie and see that it has a greater impact on the way we view the Facebook than maybe initially. Like, it was always a great movie, but we're going to be able to look at this as something that stands the test of time and is like, oh yeah, we should have seen this coming.
Cult classic. I'm guessing something like that.
I don't know. I think everybody pretty much agrees that it's a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, that usually goes, that leans into a cult classic.
Yeah, but cult classics are like there's like 100 people that like it. That's the cult.
You're a
Everybody else
cult, bro.
overlooks it. All right,
You're a
fine.
fucking cult, bro.
Anyway, what is your most important movie of the decade?
Get Out,
It's a
2017.
good choice. It's a good choice.
I fucking thought this movie was amazing, dude. When I saw that Jordan Peele was writing it, and I believe he directed it as well, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
I was immediately like, this movie's gonna bomb. I think it's gonna be absolutely stunningly shitty, and I can't wait to see it. I think it's gonna be great. I assumed it was gonna be a comedy, and then I learned very quickly that it was basically a horror movie, and not just that, but a frightening as fuck horror movie.
Oh yeah, it's like this. It's like a tense psychological thriller.
Well, that and it.
There's some comedy, but not nearly what you'd expect for Jordan Peele's first outing. Like you would think there would be more humor in it.
No,
Like
it's
that's not there.
It's absolutely a social statement. I read it loud and clear. I mean, it really embodied. I mean, just to be frank, that's hard to say. It was a really good way to present the conundrum of slavery between cultures in past tense, if you follow me.
Yeah, and it's not only slavery; it's cultural appropriation at any rate.
Yeah, gentrification and all that stuff. It was frightening in the way he put it, because he presented it in such a menacing way. I think it was really, really eye-opening for a lot of people. Like, this may sound weird, but when I saw Get Out, I walked out of that thinking, okay, I think Dave Chappelle kind of set the groundwork for this with his groundbreaking, way to convey shit to white people is a pretty good way to say it. And I think Jordan Peele did a really good job of it for this as well. And it was just so fucking intense, and I think it opened the door for a lot of other directors who come from different genres to do something different, like the guy that did Joker. What did he do? The Hangover?
Yeah.
Tim Miller, wasn't it?
No,
that's
Tim
Deadpool.
Miller was Deadpool. Todd Phillips.
Todd Phillips, that's it. He did The Hangover. He did a comedy, and then he came back and did The Joker, which is fantastic. So I think it was
okay.
Whoa.
I'm not a fan of Joker. I put my thoughts on Twitter at the time, and I'm not going to go back and look for them right now, but wasn't for me.
I need to watch it a second time before I make a final opinion. But I think Get Out it came out at the perfect time, right when the Donald Trump campaign was getting off. So it was like, okay, this is very real. It's palpable. And Jordan Peele did that in a really, really interesting and really horrific way. Like, that movie caught me off guard 50 different times, and yeah, it was dope.
I remember with that movie, that was one that I'm a huge baby when it comes to scary movies. So I knew it was supposed to be a horror, and it's not that horror. Like, I didn't feel scared after watching it.
It's
once
psychological
it was over
horror,
and done with. Right.
For sure.
But like, I made sure that I wasn't just focused on it. I was watching it in the background while I was playing video games, because I knew that was the only way I would be able to kind of hold on to it, and not get scared, because I was going into it thinking, because I had seen it well after it had come out and heard it was this great horror movie. I'd heard all the good things about it and heard how Jordan Peele made a great horror movie. So I wasn't paying too close attention to the actual scenes. But I just remember when the grandpa ran straight at Daniel Kaluuya. That scared the shit out of me. I'm like, oh no, what the hell is this guy going to do? Because we hadn't figured out what was actually going on with the white people and the black people yet. We just knew, like, that there was something going on with these grandparents. Like, there was something wrong with them. Or I guess they weren't grandparents. They were, they're like housekeeper.
Elders.
Yeah, like their housekeeper and their gardener or whatever. But they weren't acting right for whatever reason. But we didn't see the actual auction or go to any of that yet. And you just see him, like, dead ass sprint straight at Daniel Kaluuya, and you're just like, oh shit.
what the fuck is going
This
on
could
here?
go anywhere.
Yeah, it was.
But like that scene sticks in my mind, and the spoon spinning sticks in my mind, and all that stuff.
There's a lot of scenes that stick in my mind. Like I can't remember the name of the actor, but he's been in a ton of different stuff lately.
The funny guy, his roommate or whatever that works for TSA.
No, the real light skinned cat.
Oh, Lakeith Stanfield.
Yeah, exactly.
I love him.
He was frightening. Every time he was on screen, it made my skin crawl. Because he had that way of personifying something was really, really fucked up. And it was just under the surface.
Right. He was still there trying to break out. And Lakeith Stanfield did a great job of playing that role and, acting with his face and showing that emotion when you have to be emotionless.
I thought that was, like, his whole character was a really good way of presenting what, slavery as the concept. It's right under the layer. They weren't really talking about it, but it was there the whole fucking time.
Lakeith Stanfield is great. If you have a chance to watch any other movies that he's in, take that opportunity. Short Term 12 is one from a few years ago that Brie Larson's in as well. That's a really good movie about like a short-term youth care facility. Not quite an orphanage, but it's for like teenagers who are struggling at home or whatever, that they can take basically sabbaticals from their family and get therapy and work everything out, and or foster kids will go into there rather than straight into other foster homes.
That sounds dope.
Sorry to Bother You is a very interesting movie that Lakeith Stanfield and Tessa Thompson are in. You gotta watch it. I can't say anything about it. You gotta watch it. It's worth the watch, but it's very interesting.
I'm very curious about it.
Yeah. I was really excited to watch it because it was Lakeith Stanfield's first like starring role. Mm-hmm. So I was super excited. He's in Atlanta with Donald Glover too on FX.
Uh-huh.
And he's really great in that. So anytime you get a chance to watch Lakeith Stanfield in something, do so.
Yeah, I can't wait to see more of his stuff coming out.
So let's move to the other side of the coin. The worst movie that you saw between 2010 and 2019.
Okay, I have a specific one and a very specific one, and it's stuck in my head. Growing up, I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender on Nickelodeon a shitload. I love that show. So when the movie was coming out in 2010 by M. Night Shyamalan of the same name, Their Last Airbender, I was very, very, very excited.
A lot of people shared that feeling.
Dude, I remember going to see this in theater and just walking out of it feeling like someone threw a cup of piss at me. I felt fucking terrible. I felt gross. I felt dirty. I felt stanky. And most of all, I had a pretty bitter taste in my mouth. It was hot ass. Oh my god, it was so bad.
I know nothing of the Avatar: Last Airbender lore. I never watched the anime or anything like that. I did watch this movie, and this was at a time where the people weren't talking about as movies quite as much, or I wasn't in a place on Twitter where I heard about every movie that came out, right? So I kind of went into it fresh. I watched it at home. I didn't dislike it, but I didn't like it either. I didn't really know what was going on. It seemed very confusing and convoluted, which, I mean, when you take, what was it, like 6 seasons? 3 seasons?
Yeah.
And you try and cram them all into one movie, that's going to happen. And then you throw in M. Night Shyamalan's Shyamalan-ness.
Yeah, Shyamalan-ness. Yeah,
I remember, like, I didn't need a sequel to it. Like it didn't leave me grasping for more, but I also didn't have like the vitriol behind it of a lot of actual, Avatar fans, because like I just didn't care about the world at all.
Well, I mean, the show was really lighthearted. It was a nice lighthearted show. Like it was fun to watch, but there were times where, they dealt with serious shit. And I think that's what M. Night Shyamalan did that fucked the whole thing up, is he brought it. It was dark. Like the tone of the movie was fucking dark.
That's because The Dark Knight had just come out. Everybody wanted to be dark.
Yeah, it was too grounded in realism. is it's based off a fucking cartoon on Nickelodeon. Have a little fun with it. M. Night Shyamalan.
Well, that was the problem between 2009 and 2012 or 2013. Everybody thought everything had to be dark and gritty because The Dark Knight did it, and The Dark Knight is a great movie. So let's all do the exact same thing.
It's copycat.
Except they're not making good movies. They're just setting a tone that doesn't actually fit what they're trying to do.
Yeah, it was not solid.
I can do you one better. I had 22 options to choose from here for worst movie. I probably could have found more if I wanted to dive into it, but I knew I didn't need to.
I had about 30.
This is a 2011 film by the name of Bucky Larson, Born to be a Star.
Bucky Larson? Which one is that? Is that with Nick Swartzen?
Yes,
dude, fuck that movie. Oh my god.
So a lot of my worst movie nominees, they could have fallen into the forgettable category, but this movie by far takes the cake of how bad it was.
That's damn near up there with Last Airbender.
Yeah, Nick Swartz, it was his breakout performance. I put, nobody can see this because we're on the radio, but heavy, super air quotes around breakout performance where he plays an aspiring male porn star like his parents before him. It was, produced by Adam Sandler's Happy Madison Company, which they've done a lot of good things that don't star Adam Sandler. Grandma's Boy comes to mind. Maybe there's some other things out there.
So that was before this movie, correct?
Yeah, Grandma's Boy was way before this movie.
Okay, so this was the death of Nick Swartzen's career.
Yeah, exactly, because Swartzen was always pretty funny as like a bit player in other movies like Grandma's Boy, Reno 911.
Oh my god, he was funny as fuck.
Blades of Glory, Click. He had some good stand-up specials at that point, but he just could not pull off a leading role.
No, not even close. Especially in this hot-ass movie.
Yeah, the movie's bad, the acting's bad, the quote-unquote jokes are bad. It's just bad from top to bottom. It had a 3.2 rating on IMDb, which by
that's
far...
That's generous, man.
Yeah, that's generous, and that's by far the lowest score out of the 597 movies on my list.
Is that like most of your basis?
No, I mean it definitely played in because I looked, I had the 22 that I nominated for worst, and then I kind of looked at the ratings and I was like, okay, if other people think it's good and I just thought it was bad, then all right, that's a subjective thing. But if everybody thinks it, so there were a couple that were below 5s, and those were the ones that I really looked at closely. And this one, I just remember like finishing it and just being like, what the fuck did I just waste an hour and a half of my life on?
Yeah,
which usually in movies I don't feel that way. Like I get something out of them usually.
I try to, at least. With this, it was just like, I feel insulted. This was one of the times I wanted to go Karen. It's just like, give me my fucking life back. I can't believe I watched this piece of fucking
Luckily,
garbage.
I didn't go to a movie theater or anything like that to see it.
Oh, yeah, dude, no. I think I watched it on, it was on HBO or Showtime or something. It's just like, oh, yeah, I'll check that out.
I probably got it from Redbox, not a big deal.
He has dumb teeth. I'll check it out. Nick Swartzen, cool.
It was not worth the $1 from Redbox that I paid.
Bro, the inflation. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, in 2011 it was still $1, so.
Yeah, now it's like $1.90.
That was, I remember seeing back in the day, there'd be all these posts of paying it forward and random acts of kindness, those types of things, right? And I would always see this post pop up that was like, somebody would put $1 into a Redbox movie case with the movie and be like, this movie's so bad, just put it back in now. Here's your $1 back.
Damn.
So basically a person who previously, this was probably one of the few movies that I would have wanted to do that with.
Yeah, I might start doing that
because I didn't carry cash around, but.
Whew. Keep $1 with me at all times.
Just in
$2
case.
now.
$1, yeah, it's like $1.75 sometimes.
Fucking whack.
Yeah, it was rough. All right, the rest of the time, we're going to be talking about good movies, hopefully. We've purged our worst movie memories. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's follow it up with best movie.
Best movie. From a technical, critical standpoint, this would be something most likely to win an Oscar, not just something we liked.
Yes.
You ready for it? I'm
ready.
Star Wars, Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, my.
No, I'm just fucking with you.
I was going to say, you... Getting hot, bro.
I had to let it sit for a minute, though, just to really let you sink it in.
You just hear me seething on the other side, like...
I had 19 nominations for Best Movie. Rise of Skywalker was not one of them. And in the end, I picked the movie Blind Spotting from 2018.
Blind Spotting. I never saw that movie.
You need to watch it. And I'll tell you why.
Is it like Train Spotting?
Not at all. This was a movie that hashtag film Twitter was all over throughout the year of 2018. And I didn't get to include it in any of our 2018 movie superlatives because I hadn't actually seen it yet. And I'm really ashamed of that because it is so damn good.
Huh.
The performances are incredibly powerful. Daveed Diggs is the main character. I probably couldn't describe him to you, but like as soon as you turned on the movie, you'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen that guy in something. It was nominated and it won several independent awards. And, you know, as an independent podcast, we feel that independent awards are the most important. So it didn't go up for any Oscars, but it won a lot of independent awards, which is great. The movie is entertaining. It's engaging. It had all the staples of a great technical film. It's got a relatable story that's, you know, engaging in a way that really makes you kind of stop and think about your life and your friendships and things like that. It's probably one of those movies that I'm sure a lot of Academy voters didn't bother to watch because it's not the content that it's this content that doesn't really fit with them, and the actors and the director are a bit under the radar. So, you know, they just don't watch those movies with if they don't know the actors, they don't know the director. The movie's doesn't speak to old white dudes, they're not going to watch it. And that's kind of shitty because if you haven't seen this movie yet and you can handle a 2-year-old holding a gun, you need to watch it right now. That's all I'm going to say.
I might watch this after we get done with the. I just looked at the synopsis of it real quick, and it fucking looks fascinating.
It's so much better. Like, the synopsis can't even do a good enough job of explaining how good it is.
And the cast is like, I've never heard of any of these people.
I think you would know who Daveed Diggs is.
It's possible.
He does a lot of comedy stuff, and this movie it's pretty funny. There are funny moments, but there's a lot of serious moments and real things going on throughout. Real, relatable, engaging things.
Yeah, it's I mean, that's a big part of it. I mean, when movies can give you that feeling, that's a big fucking deal, man. That, especially when it comes down to best movie.
Yeah. So that's what I feel the best movie should do, is make you feel for the characters in it and make you understand what they're going through. Like, get the fuck out of here with $1 Million Baby and The Pianist and shit like that. Like, come on now.
Yeah, that's out of element and out of character for most people who are going to see the movies.
Exactly.
It's something that it should resonate with you. It should make you think. It should make you feel. It should shock you. And
if we were doing a 2000s movie superlatives, $1 Million Baby would be high on the list of worst movies I saw in the 2000s.
That was depressing as fuck.
It was boring. It was depressing, and it wasn't very good. Like, even the action scenes weren't very good.
It was a Clint Eastwood movie.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty well.
Yeah. I know how it does. I know how I do.
All right, so what do you got for best movie? It's gonna be hard to top Blind Spotting.
Since I've never seen it, I can't say for sure. People on Twitter, let me know at alone_podcast if it's really that dope. But
it is.
For best movie, this is something I circled around. I probably had 50 different movies I worked down and, you know, eliminated things that I thought were in the 2010s.
These last two categories were the hardest to, like, really
super hard.
weed down.
But it's something that I've watched probably 5 or 6 times, and every time it nails me in the chest. And it's Ex Machina from 2014 with, if you've never seen that movie, holy fuck. With Alex Garland, directed by Alex Garland, starring Domhnall Gleeson, Oscar Isaac, and Alicia Vikander as the android or whatever you want to call her. I'm very fascinated by AI, and I thought...
Yeah, we did a whole episode on it one time.
Yeah, the way the movie was directed incredibly. I thought the acting was very good. The context of the movie was very good. Fucking resonated with me like crazy. I remember watching it, and spoilers if you've never seen this, when the main AI chicks fucking kill Oscar Isaac, who is their creator. my mind was blown. So it was a damn good movie.
It was really good. It was a really slow burn.
I think slow burns are some of the best movies that have ever been made.
They can be. I have a hard time with them because my brain wants to be thinking and moving all the time, and that's not a problem with this movie. So my problem is if there's not something in a movie to make me think, I start making up things to think, right? So like I'm trying to tie strings together that don't necessarily exist in the movie, and so the movie makes me think in a way that I'm not prepared to, and then my thoughts are on one hemisphere and the actual movie is in a different hemisphere, and then I have a hard time reconciling that. So it's not the movie's fault. My mind wandered and I started kind of making things up of what I thought was going to happen, and then those weren't the things that happened. And I went on Reddit and cried like a little baby over every post I possibly could, saying this movie didn't do exactly what I wanted it to. Fuck the director, fuck the actors, they should all go kill themselves. I didn't do that actually, because that's stupid and toxic.
Hating, bro. Damn.
No, Ex Machina could definitely use another watch from me now that I kind of know where it goes and how to follow it.
See, I felt like that's what made it best movie in my point of view. Is I like to think of myself and you as intelligent people, and when I'm going into a movie, time is a valuable fucking commodity, man, and I don't want to waste my time watching something that I'm not going to get anything from.
Right.
And so that was something I went into this movie expecting to get nothing. So I guess that kind of works in my favor, but it was just so well put together and presented its arguments so well, and the acting was so fantastic, and yada yada. I could go on and on about it, but I was just blown away.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. When I say my mind wandered, my mind didn't wander onto like completely other things. My mind wandered within the movie, and I was trying to connect dots that weren't there, and that's my problem. It's not the movie's problem.
I want to wonder, I guess, was my point that I kind of got lost in. I want to wonder, and
right. You want a movie that makes you think about what's going on in it, not just not Bucky Larson, Born to Be a Star.
Yeah, and if I'm wrong, I enjoy it even more, and I was wrong about everything about that movie.
Well, I think that's the part where I need to go back and watch it again. Now, knowing where it goes, I can watch it with a new sense and think in the right way I'm supposed to be thinking throughout the movie. Does that make sense? Instead of wandering into all this ancillary crap, I can actually focus on how I should be focusing.
I think it'll definitely make it a easier rewatch.
Right. So that's a good pick. Now, it's big time. Movie, subjectively favorite movie. We're going to go to the Twitter first because we asked for our question of the week. At APA something, what was your subjective favorite movie of the past decade, 2010 to 2019? We got some answers.
We got like 7.
Yeah. The Self, The Hero of Tennessee, at Magus of the M, Drive 2011. I got to disagree there. That's a boring ass movie.
Never seen it, but when I saw the clip where Ryan Gosling's like, I drive, it's like, okay,
that's the whole movie. That's it.
I'm turning this off.
Yeah, you've seen the movie. You're good. Leia and Jessica at Buffy Watcher 23. Shout out. Knives Out, which that's one I want. That's on my list of like I need to see it, and I haven't yet.
Same here. I've heard it's fucking awesome.
Heard a lot of good things.
Yeah.
That's another one. Hashtag Film Twitter is all over.
Yeah, I'll have to check that shit out.
So then she also adds that Leia, her dog's favorite movie is Justice League, which, all right, fine.
Sorry, your dog has poor taste.
I mean, maybe Justice League was made for dogs. Maybe that's what we're missing. We're humans.
Damn.
So we just don't understand it. We don't have that, point of view that a dog has. I don't know.
Fair
Shout
enough.
out Jessica. Shout out Leia. They're one of our good followers. They interact a lot on Twitter.
Oh,
and, Jessica says that Leia likes to listen to our podcast on their Amazon Echo just during the day, which is great. Thank you, Leia.
Yeah. Hi,
so
Leia.
we got to do some episodes specifically for dogs.
I could do that.
Podcast about squirrels, maybe.
Squirrel.
I don't know. We'll see.
I could do that. I can make noises, like weird noises that dogs tend to like.
I mean, we could probably just read the script of Justice League, right? Apparently, this dog likes that.
That dog would have their mind blown.
A podcast about something is now your number one provider of dog podcasts.
That's a niche, if I've ever heard one.
It's going in our description, though. Leave this on for your dogs while you're at work. They'll love it.
They fucking love this shit.
Nick Amell from the Tennish Podcast, at Nick_Amell. Great podcast, the Tennish Podcast. Check them out. Off the top of my head, he says probably Interstellar or Django Unchained. We gave Interstellar some love last week on part 1.
Oh, yeah.
Django Unchained.
That's a good pick, man.
It's good. It's not. I could never. I don't like Tarantino that much.
I fucking love
He's
that
fine.
movie. I love it for Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx is great, and I love Jamie Foxx in most things he does.
The German dude, I forget his name.
Christoph Waltz.
Yes, he's good. So
really
good.
too. And Leo's good in that too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little
Samuel
long.
Jackson.
It's a little over the top for my liking, but that's Quentin Tarantino, and that's why I don't really like Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Ryan L.
blood,
Terry.
a lot of guts.
What's that?
A lot of blood, a lot of guts.
Yep. Ryan L. Terry at RL Terry1 picks I, Tonya. That's one I've never seen either.
Never seen that, but Margot Robbie is pretty good.
Nerd with a Phone 1 at Nerd with a Phone 1. Spider-Man Homecoming. Good movie.
Good movie. Not the best.
No, not my favorite.
Mm.
There's better Spider-Man movies out there in this decade.
Oh, yeah.
And then Kate from the Ignorance Was Bliss podcast at IWB Podcast. She gives a vote for It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood with Tom Hanks. Again, another one I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, haven't seen that yet. These are a lot of recent movies.
Yeah, a lot of recent ones we're going to have to get in on watching.
Yeah, let's get it.
So thank you for all of your feedback, and thank you for answering the question of the week. Next week we'll hopefully be back to polls, because I like polls better because people like to vote on things more than they like to actually think and write things.
Apparently. Yeah, I agree.
But thank you to everyone who participated. That's at APA something. You can also follow Nick at alone_podcast on the Twitter. So we're talking about Nick Amell from the Tennish Podcast. And, I knew we were just talking about him, so I almost forgot that your name was Nick.
You bastard.
I was going to call you Nick. And then I was like, wait, that can't be right. I'm just saying Nick because I was talking about this other Nick. And then I'm like, wait, no, his name is Nick. That's okay.
Yeah.
Very confusing time in my brain. All right, so favorite movie. For you, subjective, I said let's do a top 5, but we'll just do rapid fire top 5 and elaborate only on the number 1. Because there were some things I couldn't weed out.
Yeah,
give me what you got.
Waded through some bullshit, but I settled pretty quick. My number 1, bro, or are we doing 5 down to 1?
5 to 1.
5 to 1. All right. Number 5, Captain America: Civil War.
Good pick.
I tried to stay away from, superhero movies, but that movie is just a fantastic movie.
That was
overall.
in my top 10, not top 5.
Loved it.
Yep.
Love that movie. Number 4.
My biggest thing, sorry, just to cut in here, my biggest thing with not picking Civil War, Infinity War, or Endgame for anything is I wouldn't know which one to pick between them. They're all right there on a level.
I definitively think Civil War is a better movie.
You get the introduction of Spider-Man. Yeah, there's some really good stuff in.
There's a lot of stakes.
Introduction of Black Panther. Yeah, the stakes are higher because there's no evil overlord that has to be defeated at the end.
It's Bucky.
Yeah, but you don't want Bucky to die. You want Cap and Bucky to be lovers. So
Number 4. This was a pretty under the radar movie that I really fucking enjoyed. It was They Shall Not Grow Old by Peter Jackson. I am a huge.
Is that the one with Chris Pine?
No, it is a World War I colored film, basically. Yeah, about World War I, and it's more of a documentary than that.
Film about World War I. Whoa.
Yeah, no fucking way. I can't believe it.
I think you've talked about that before.
I'm very into
Shall Not Grow Old.
Both World War I and World War II. World War I was haunting, and it really it hit me in the feels, man. Hit me in the feels.
Well, it's a documentary.
Yeah. No, it's
So
it's a documentary
for
movie.
best documentary.
Did it?
Yeah.
Well, it was fucking worth it. I went and saw it in theaters with my wife and my parents, actually, and it was heartbreaking. Number 3.
I will not be checking that out.
it might be worth a watch if you're in history, for sure. Like if you're into war and stuff like that. I love Carlin. War is fascinating to me, and the little minutia that brings it together.
All right, what do you got next?
You Were Never Really Here, 2018, starring Joaquin Phoenix. Super weird, like hitman movie.
But you talked about that one before too.
It was fucking good, man. It was another movie that blew me away, especially the ending where he pulls out a pistol, spoilers, and blows his fucking head off after getting away and all this shit. But crazy movie. Really liked the context of it. It was a little more intense than I liked, but Joaquin Phoenix acted his fucking ass off. Number 2, Logan, 2017. Going back to superhero movies. Very, very bad of me, I know, but if you're a fan of X-Men or fucking Wolverine, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine...
Well, it was by far the best X-Men movie of the decade.
By far. And it was something...
Maybe Days of Future Past, but
no,
I think Logan
not even close. Logan is so good, and it was the way the character was meant to be done. He's meant to say, fuck, and just... He has fucking claws. He's meant to cut people to pieces. And they, Daphne Keane was great in that movie. The villains were awesome. The context was great. It was so good. So satisfying as a watcher and a fan of those comics and movies and stuff like that. So yeah, Logan number 2. Number 1. This one was really, really hard for me to settle on, but it was something that I tried to think of it like this, and what have I gone back and watched the most and enjoyed every time?
Mm-hmm.
It was made the best, yada yada, all those things that make the best movie in my opinion. And I chose Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt from 2014.
It's a good choice.
Hey, I was gonna say, if you haven't seen that movie, folks, you need to see that movie. That is Tom Hanks' best performance. Tom Cruise. I'm thinking of Another Day in the Neighborhood.
I haven't rewatched it, but I would like to.
I've watched it probably 5 or 6 times, and
really
every
good.
time
Emily Blunt does
fantastic.
a great job.
So good. That entire movie is just... It was really surprising. I did not expect to get that. Like, I didn't really... The tagline, Live, Die, Repeat, didn't catch me. The previews didn't catch me. Tom Cruise didn't catch me.
I was mostly out of it, because, so Edge of Tomorrow and Oblivion came out at almost the exact same time. 2 Tom Cruise futuristic sci-fi type movies. And going into both of them, after watching trailers and reading descriptions, things like that, I thought Oblivion would be the more interesting and good one.
I did too.
Oblivion's terrible.
It is fucking garbage. They advertised it more, it felt like, too.
Yeah. And I think part of that with Edge of Tomorrow is they couldn't even land on a title. There were like rights issues with it or something, or studio issues.
Yeah, I think it's based off a book.
Yeah, and but it was really good and really fun to watch, and there were parts where I probably zoned out and then came back into it. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? I've got to pay attention to this movie, because there was some good stuff going on, and Emily Blunt is fantastic, and she's better than Tom Cruise is in it, and Tom Cruise is great in it too.
Yeah, that's his best movie I think I've ever seen him in. It made me like him again. I mean, I used to think he was okay in the Mission Impossible 1, 2, and 3 days.
I've never seen a single Mission Impossible movie.
I have. I'm not ashamed to admit it, goddammit.
I don't have a problem with them. I just never went out of my way to watch them. And now I feel like it's too late to catch up on 7 movies that I don't really care about.
Star Wars.
Well, yeah, but I've seen all of those.
But do you really care about them?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that was a dumb question.
We did a whole month on Star Wars. Come on now.
You have lightsabers.
I have lightsabers. I just finished Star Wars Rebels tonight. Great show.
Dang.
So, yeah. So is it my turn then? Are we done with Edge of Tomorrow?
That is your turn. Edge of Tomorrow, man. Oh. I don't really have much more to say about it. If you haven't seen it, you need to fucking watch it.
So, for me, 5 through 2 are not really in order, but are kind of in order. So I had 13 that I had nominated for favorite movie. My top five were number 5, She's Out of My League with Jay Baruchel and Alice Eve. Really funny. That's one I watch over and over again. I could watch it anytime. That was a really surprising movie too, because I thought it would be just kind of one of these dumb
Never even heard of
Apatow.
it.
I'll watch it. It's really good. Kind of T.J. Miller, or is that his name?
Yeah, the dude from Deadpool.
Yeah. T.J. Miller.
bartender.
It was kind of his introduction, way before he got Me Too'd. So you can watch this and enjoy him. It was really his introduction into a greater world. It's got really funny moments, and the performances are good. I mean, for what a comedy movie performance you're looking for, just top-notch comedy that I could go back to anytime, and it gets me laughing every time.
Those movies are awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Then for number 4, I've got The Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Isn't that with
It's got Emma Watson.
That's it.
Ezra Miller's in it. Keep wanting to call him Ezra Bridger. That's the main character of Star Wars Rebels. That's not his name. It's Ezra Miller, who is the new Flash in the DC universe. Yeah. I think his name's Logan Lerman is the main character. Really great performances in this movie. Deep meaning to it, and kind of a somewhat relatable, probably very relatable if you've gone through some of the things that the character's gone through, but relatable high school experience type thing for people who aren't on the in crowd and always felt themselves apart from the rest of the world, and how they find solace in each other. Just a fun, mostly fun movie to watch until you get to the heavy stuff towards the end.
Way to spoil it for me, Calvin.
I mean, I didn't tell you what the heavy stuff is.
But it's heavy nonetheless.
Yeah. But yeah, just that's one I can watch over and over again and get some level of enjoyment out of it. It's also based on a book, which I might want to read that book sometime, or audiobook it.
Yeah, I was gonna say audiobook.
Yeah.
For the win.
Number 3, Baby Driver.
Dude, I've never watched the full movie, but a couple clips of that have popped up on YouTube for me, and it looks awesome.
Great performances, great action sequences, great music. It's just great from top to bottom, other than, the Kevin Spacey-ness of it. But he gets killed, so, whatever. You take what you can get.
That's
Spoilers.
All right. Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, it's a super fun movie to watch.
I like fun movies, man. They're the best.
Yeah. It's not really deep. You don't have to do a lot of thinking. But it's not like Fast and Furious level shallow. But it is just like you kind of sit back and enjoy the ride that you're taking on.
Damn, 93% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's really good, man. I'm telling you.
I gotta watch that.
And that's what I feel like. Like we said, we haven't seen Knives Out yet. That's what I think. Like Knives Out is that movie of this year, of just like this super fun, enjoyable movie that you're just along for the ride on. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I feel like those just kind of get cast aside a lot.
And then number 2 is Logan Lucky.
Dude,
not Logan.
Great pick.
Yeah.
That movie was fucking awesome.
I think Baby Driver and Logan Lucky could be interchanged. Same as She's Out of My League and The Perks of Being a Wallflower. You could interchange those. But some order of these 4. Logan Lucky is just another fun heist movie. Great performances by Adam Driver and Daniel Craig. And who's the other brother? Channing Tatum's in it.
Yep.
Is he the other brother?
Yep.
No, he's in it.
It was really funny seeing Daniel Craig as a funny guy.
Yeah.
Or at least funny.
He did a really good job.
He did a great job. And Adam Driver, I hadn't seen him in anything funny.
Adam Driver.
So this was really my first introduction besides the SNL clip.
Yeah, since he was on SNL this last time, I think I've watched every skit on YouTube since then, which usually I don't do. Like, I couldn't care less what's going on in SNL, but it's continuously funny with Adam Driver. Adam Driver's so good.
He is awesome. He's fucking great.
All right, so my number 1 favorite movie. This is my only repeat from the 2018 movie Superlatives, but it stands to the test of time, of the 1 year that's gone by. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, good pick.
Yeah.
Good pick.
I can't think of a movie I like better from this decade. If you told me that I could only watch one movie for the rest of my life from 2010 to 2019, I would pick this movie.
It's a damn fucking good pick, man. We've talked about that quite extensively.
The story's great. The animation is phenomenal. The performances are top-notch. All of the characters are great. You can relate to each and every one of the characters. I can go on and on about what is great about this movie. But really,
soundtrack, yeah,
soundtrack is fantastic.
Voice actors.
What really lands it here for me is just my overall love for Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and honestly,
absolutely.
This is probably the best rendition of Spider-Man in a Spider-Man movie.
Well, for me, it was the first time it felt like they nailed it on the first go around.
Right.
Like, they nailed Miles Morales perfectly, in my point of view.
And Gwen.
Yeah.
And Peter Parker, and Peter B. Parker.
Peter Porker.
And Peter Porker. They hit everything. It's so grounded in the humanity of Miles and the other characters, which we just mentioned. And yet they still have to basically save the entire world at the same time as being this grounded, relatable characters. And that's kind of the great thing about Spider-Man overall, is he has these amazing powers, but everything that goes on with him, whether it's Miles or Peter or really any of the others, is relatable on a personal level. He's still dealing with teenager shit.
Definitely.
That we've all dealt with. And on top of that, you have to save the world.
Yeah. And you're out of your fucking league, for sure.
Yeah, Spider-Verse does a great job of having the viewer feel the impact of the decisions he or the rest of the team make, that it's not just an impact on the whole world, but also how they impact his own life with his father, with his roommate, with at school, with his uncle. All of those things you can see playing out as the movie goes on. And then the final great thing about this movie is that my kids love it too. And it's really the only one of like the nerdy things that I'm into that I can share with them at this point.
That's gonna be so fun.
They'll tolerate Star Wars. My 5-year-old gave Power Rangers a try, and she kind of said she liked it, but hasn't gone back to it. Like while we were watching it, she was like, "Yeah, this is cool," and she's like doing like jumping kicks and shit. She liked the Pink Ranger obviously the most, and she's pretending she's got her power bow and all that shit while we're watching it, but she couldn't care less to go back and watch it again. But Spider-Verse, if I put it on, like they'll be like, "Oh no, I wanted to watch this instead." But as soon as like it actually hits and the movie starts, they're in on it.
Yeah, she's there.
Yeah.
I'm fucking here.
So yeah, Spider-Verse, anytime we go back to this decade, that's going to be my pick. So now that we're out of this decade, that is probably going to be my last chance to ever talk about it.
I'm sure it'll come up again.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm positive
I think it will. Okay, so those are our awards for the bottom half of the movie Superlatives for the 2010s. But we've got some extra things.
Got a few. Just a few.
I've got a lot.
I got a few. I got a few that could expand to a lot.
Yeah, what movie are you most disappointed that you haven't seen yet?
This one is... I heard a lot about it. It's Moonlight with Mahershala Ali. Never seen it.
He's
obviously
not the main character. I'm just going to point that out.
That's what I've heard. I heard he's in the first act only, but he's just so powerful in that first act.
He's really good. Yeah, and it's an Oscar winner, but it's not a $1 Million Baby type Oscar winner.
It's not made to be an Oscar winner. It's made to be a fucking brilliant film.
It's a good movie. I had a couple on this. Us, I haven't seen yet after how good
I haven't seen that either.
Get Out was. I really feel like I need to see this, but I'm more scared of Us than I was of Get Out.
The previews freaked me the fuck out. I rented it, but it was at a time where I believe I rented it while I was on my work trip in Virginia. And
that's not where you want to watch a scary movie where body snatchers take over your lives or something.
Well, I mean, my hotel backed up to some woods that were just pitch black, and I was by myself in Virginia.
The last thing you want to do is look out into those woods at night and start thinking you're seeing another version of yourself.
I would go to the local liquor store and buy a gun, where they have them for, free $99.
You don't have to get to the liquor store. It's probably in the lobby of the hotel, man.
There's liquor stores everywhere. Liquor store, gun store, liquor store, gun store. That's how it goes. Room service guns. Oh, business venture.
Another one, we talked about Knives Out, which that's one I really want to see. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That looks like more Fun Leo, which we talked about a lot in the last episode in part 1.
Fun Leo's awesome.
It's 2.5 hours. It's a tough one to sit and find time for.
Yeah.
And then Lincoln, I think, is my biggest gap right now. But I also don't know that I'm going back to Lincoln because it's like 3 hours long.
Yeah, and Daniel Day-Lewis. I mean, I just watched Gangs of New York like fucking 7 months ago, so I'm pretty Daniel Day-Lewis
That's
up.
an Oscar Beatty movie that I don't know that I need to go back 4 years for.
Yeah, it's I agree. And I mean, I'm linking out. We've discussed this before.
Yeah. So I've got some honorable mentions of just things that didn't fit any of the categories that I wanted to mention that were maybe nominated for some of the categories, but I couldn't actually fit in. Do you have anything like that? Because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Not particularly.
That I want to
I got some honorable worst mentions.
Honorable worst mentions? All right, let's hear those. And
I got
mine aren't necessarily all best. They were up for any award.
I just got 2 honorable worst mentions.
Let's hear them.
One is Suicide Squad. Fuck.
I think there's some enjoyment still in that movie. There's some
balls.
Okay things to watch still.
We'll agree to disagree.
It's not worse than Bucky Larson, Born to Be a Star.
No, of course not, because it had a $231 million budget.
Well, then it can't be the worst. If there's something worse, it can't be the worst. Boom.
Honorable mention worst?
I guess so.
Well, this is subjectively worst. This is rated probably not nearly as bad as Bucky. This thing, fuck that movie, dude. Jared Leto's Joker was garbage.
I think if they would have let him breathe in that role and actually let him be in the movie for some reason, they didn't. I think they could have done some really interesting things with how he was portraying the Joker. They just didn't. And I don't think that's his fault.
Take off the fucking tattoos. And, yeah, take out the grill. Have the broken teeth. That's what I'm saying. If he just had the broken teeth and no tattoos, he would have been way more interesting to me. But he was also in like 30 seconds of the movie.
Yeah.
But it was just, Rick Flag was terribly acted. Enchantress was terrible. Captain Boomerang, Killer Croc, they were all fucking bad.
We needed more Deadshot. We needed more Joker. Probably didn't need more Harley Quinn. I could have done for some more Diablo.
Diablo was kind of tight.
Yeah.
Second, Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Shots fucking fire. Boo, 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 boo.
It's worst movie? Come on now.
Dude, I hated that movie.
I've heard your thoughts. We didn't get to discuss them. And I don't think we ever will, because I think it would just turn into a screaming match that's not worth having. But
maybe it is one day.
Maybe.
But not this day.
No,
this day we do not fight.
It's not the worst. Again, Bucky Larson is still out there.
But I haven't seen that movie.
You haven't seen Bucky Larson?
No.
All right.
You should
watch it just so you can have it as the worst movie you've ever seen.
I've seen most of it. I've seen chunks of it.
That's all you need. There's nothing more to it. Don't worry.
Yeah. I didn't watch the whole thing. I will admit that.
All right. So for me, for some honorable mentions, Warrior.
That's a good movie, dude. Yeah.
Great movie. So I had that up for surprising and best movie.
That's
but
a really good
it just couldn't edge out the things I picked. But yeah, really, really good. Really great Tom Hardy performance. He says maybe 6 words the whole time.
I just watched that clip the other day where he's talking to his dad and like throws change in his face and shit. That is heartbreaking, man. Oh my god.
I always loved I liked the UFC fighter just walks in the ring and one punches somebody and it's done.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
Rip the door off.
That would never actually happen.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen either.
I had The Cabin in the Woods up for most surprising because
that's a very good pick.
I was expecting, just kind of this dumb, cliche horror movie, and it was that, but it was that on purpose.
And it pulled it off really well.
To serve a bigger purpose. Kingsman: The Secret Service was up for favorite movie and most rewatchable.
That's a very good pick too.
The top 5 there though.
Best fight scene.
Great fight scene. Horrible Bosses was up for favorite and rewatchable.
Most sexy.
Yeah. Jennifer Aniston was looking good.
Yeah.
Horrible Bosses, that surprised me too. That was a lot funnier than I thought it would be. Same with this
Colin
next
Farrell
one.
Was pretty good.
Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan.
It's pretty funny though.
It's funny. I don't like the bald dude. He gets on my
I like Rob
nerves.
Corddry.
He reminds me of Todd Packer.
That's the point of him though.
Yeah, I don't like people like that. They get on my
I don't like real people like that. I like laughing at them when they're playing a caricature of that role. But that was another one that like looked so stupid, and the premise looked so stupid, and it actually turns out pretty funny. I remember 30 Rock did a bit where Tina Fey's character goes to a movie theater. Like somebody asks her what she was doing last weekend, and she was like, "Oh, nothing, just hanging out at my house or something like that." And then it shows a flashback to her going to a movie theater and be like, just one for Hot Tub Time," like whispering under her breath, "One for Hot Tub Time Machine, please."
They're like, "Come on for a hot tub time machine, ma'am, for the Virgin."
But yeah, it ended up being a lot funnier than I expected it to be.
Yeah,
So that was closest to winning most surprising, because like it was actually pretty comical.
I'll have to give that a rewatch.
Chronicle.
That was a good
Chronicle?
Surprising movie. I did.
Yeah. Surprising.
Jordan
That
Peele.
was up for surprising. No, not Jordan Peele. Josh Trank.
Jordan Peele's not. No, I'm saying Jordan. Not. I'm sorry. Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah,
God damn
Jordan's
it.
crossed.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan, Dane DeHaan, like just they did a great job. A really good twist with Dane DeHaan turning on everybody. That is almost what Brightburn should have been.
Yes.
They did a
totally.
much better job of making Brightburn than Brightburn did.
Yeah.
Baby Driver, which I mentioned. Rogue One, which you mentioned as rewatchable and important. So I thought this movie was important because it showed that Star Wars could live without the Skywalkers and the Jedi. And that it could be good.
Not just good, but is great.
Yeah. But I didn't want to throw too many Star Wars picks in there. I picked The Force Awakens for one of them. So, I didn't want to just have everything be Star Wars.
That's probably safe. We just had the Star Wars month. Exactly.
We did a whole month on Star Wars. We've said plenty on it. And then, the Avengers movies, we already talked about: Infinity War, Endgame, Civil War. I would have had those up for important, just in the way that they pulled the MCU together, which seemed like an impossible feat. And, it spawned all of these other terrible attempts at expanded cinematic universes, and they're the only ones that actually landed the plane on it.
They did such a
good job. And they did it
too.
4 times in this decade. They did it with Avengers, they did it with Civil War, they did it with Infinity War, and they did it with Endgame. We'll forget Age of Ultron was in there too.
Still not a bad movie. It was better on the second.
No, but it doesn't have that importance of like they actually pulled this off. It was just a continuation.
It's not the same caliber.
It was a continuation of something they already pulled off in Avengers.
Yeah, definitely not the same caliber.
Split. I had that up for performance for James McAvoy.
Also good.
Very good. Glass, not good.
No, terrible.
I think Glass I had up for worst, actually.
One of those.
Yeah, it wasn't good. But yeah, Split, or maybe disappointing. I had Glass up for disappointing, just because I was so after how good Split was and how good McAvoy was in Split, I was so excited for Glass. And McAvoy does great in Glass, but the rest of the movie is just garbage around it.
Yeah, they're all phoned in.
Yeah. Nightcrawler for performance for Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, dude, great pick. He goes
crazy in that, man.
That is unnerving.
Room. It's a very hard movie to watch. But I had that up for performance for Brie Larson and Jacob Tremblay. It's about a woman who gets kidnapped when she's 17 and then has a baby with the kidnapper and is like raising the baby. And when he's 5, they escape, and then kind of their life after that.
Oh, shit.
It's a very hard watch, but they do a very good job. Both of them do. And like the kid, he's like 5 to 8 years old throughout the movie. Something like that. And, yeah, it's a rough watch, but it's really, really good.
I have to check that out.
And then Whiplash was my last honorable mention. With J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller, the drumming movie. From,
I haven't seen
2013. That. Really good. I had that up for best movie and best performance for either J.K. Simmons or Miles Teller. They both do a great job in that movie.
I saw a little clip on YouTube about that, like best performances.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's Miles Teller actually drumming in all those too.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Did not realize he was a drummer.
He became one for that movie.
That's pretty solid. That's like the most commitment I think he's ever shown.
I like Miles Teller. Don't hate on.
That dude's whack.
What's your issue with Miles Teller?
Fan Forstick.
That's not his fault. Michael
War
B. Jordan's
Dogs.
in that too. War Dogs is great. What do you mean?
We'll agree to disagree.
War Dogs is a fun movie.
You're a fun movie, bro.
Thank you. So any categories that we missed?
Yes.
Okay.
Best soundtrack, which we talked about before. I
For
think
me,
we
it's
agreed.
it's still Spider-Verse. Yeah.
Yeah, Spider-Verse.
Bohemian Rhapsody gets kind of an honorable mention there, but I mean those are all just Queen songs. They already existed. I don't know that counts.
That's a given. Funniest movie.
What do you got?
I got The Other Guys from 2010 with Adam McKay. Fucking, yeah, love that movie. No. Super funny. I think it's one of those that either you love it or you don't.
I do not.
Yeah, a lot of people I find don't.
I may need to rewatch it because, so you know the settings on TVs where everything looks like it's a bad SNL sketch?
Yes.
And you got to like turn that setting off to make movies and shows look normal?
Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah, well, you should. So anyway, I watched this movie at my parents' house when it came out, and they had this setting turned on their TV, and or it was turned on like their DVD player or something, and you couldn't turn it off, or I didn't know how to turn it off, or whatever. And so that took a lot of enjoyment out of the movie, is watching it in that framework where it looks like it's a high school play. So I will say that maybe I should rewatch it, and maybe I could enjoy it a little more if it looks like a normal movie should look. Motion smoothing. That's what the setting's called.
I definitely didn't notice that.
It's not on every TV, and some it comes turned on by default, and you would notice it pretty quickly. It's not the movie's fault. It's the TV / media device's fault. Anyway, so for funniest movies, I had Neighbors.
Yeah,
Seth Rogen, Rose Byrne.
Dude, great one.
Zac Efron, Dave
That made me
Franco.
like Zac Efron, actually.
Yeah. Horrible Bosses, which I mentioned.
Very good.
And Good Boys from 2019, which I'll talk about that more in a minute.
Not familiar with that, I don't think.
You should familiarize yourself. Best Small Part was another category that we missed. That we had in the 2018s, but we took it out for this one in favor of other things.
That's right. I do have a pick for that.
What do you got?
Got my boy Jackie Earl Haley as George Noyce from Shutter Island. This is the guy who played Rorschach in the infamous Watchmen. Have you ever seen Shutter Island?
Yes, I like Shutter Island.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
George Noyce is the guy that Leonardo DiCaprio's character says killed his wife. And that's like who he's after, and he's basically completely ruined this fucking dude's life and kind of locked up in an insane asylum. Yeah, I thought that was really, really powerful because he was the guy who...
I gotta watch that one again. It's a good movie.
Oh, man. I watch it probably once every 6 months with my wife because we both think
it seems like
fantastic.
a lot, but yeah, it's a good movie.
You know, it's a lot of really good performances, and
Ruffalo
it's eerie.
And Leo.
Yeah, not Ben Watson.
Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley.
Who's Ben Watson? He's a tight end.
Not doing well with names this week. But yeah, that's one I really, really enjoyed. I thought he did a great job.
It's a good choice. I went with Spider-Man in Captain America: Civil War.
Is that only 5 scenes?
Yeah, it's one scene. It's the airport.
Man, I
guess when Tony recruits him.
Yeah, I suppose that is only 2 scenes, basically.
Yeah. It's just an amazing job. Right off the bat. Coming in, steals Cap's shield. He stops Bucky's vibranium punch midair.
Whoa, like, you have a metal arm.
Yeah. A lot of great quips. Gets a Star Wars reference in there. He's just firing 100 miles an hour out the gate. And it's our introduction to Spider-Man in the MCU. That's
what I'm saying. They couldn't have nailed it. They did such a good job. Because I remember seeing the preview where he like steals a shield. You know, hi everybody. I got to see that shit, and I could not wait. And when it finally came out, it totally delivered.
Yeah, I agree. And the last thing is your favorite movie from 2019. Since we didn't do 2019 movie superlatives, we should wrap this up with our favorite movies that we've seen in 2019. I think that's only fair.
Fair enough.
What do you think?
I agree. Am I going first with this?
Yeah, no, I'm saying what's your favorite movie from this year?
This might get a little heavy. Just throwing this out there. But my favorite movie of 2019, and you'll disagree with me, was Joker.
Ugh.
Hear me out.
Gross.
Hear me out.
I don't want to.
Fine.
No,
bye.
Go ahead.
Bye, Felicia.
That's it. Go ahead.
No. I've battled depression and anxiety a good majority of my life. And no, I've never thought about blowing people away and shit like that.
You haven't just
But
killed random people on a train for singing at you?
No. And they couldn't carry a tune. See, there was parts of it that I didn't enjoy. But I thought Joaquin Phoenix acted his fucking ass off. And I really looked forward to going to see it. And it was something where it was like watching depression on TV, if that makes sense. Like, there's this GIF or this meme out there. Fucking GIF, I'm going to say it twice.
It's okay.
There's this meme out there of like a black mass shaped like a human putting on skin and, going outside and stuff like that. And it's like, this is depression. That was like the way it conveyed desperation and loss and anxiety and hopelessness and shit like that. Very, very depressing themes, I know, but that was what made it my favorite movie of 2019, and that just sounds so depressing.
Okay, but see, here's the problem with that. I see where you're coming from, and I'm not trying to diminish what you're saying. Because it does do a good job of showing those things. The problem is that it also adds a bunch of other shit on top of it. It can't just be that he's suffering with mental illness. It has to be, first of all, that he's suffering with every mental illness ever. And he has mommy issues. He has daddy issues. He gets bullied by random ass people on the street for no reason. He, it just threw so much shit that it didn't take the time to focus and you could have picked any one of those things and let it breathe and let it become his raison d'etre, but it didn't. It just kept jumping in between like 10 different things to try and decide. This is one of the problems I have with the movie. I have several others.
I mean, that's anxiety in a fucking nutshell right there, dude. Or at least that's how it personifies itself to me and a lot of people that I've talked to, is that I refer to it like the voice in your head. It says shit that's not accurate. You think people are talking shit about you, but in reality they're talking about fucking getting coffee next week. It's your brain being overactive.
I get that. I understand what anxiety is. That's not my issue. My issue is that he's not jumpy, or he is, but that's his character. And right after I saw it, I had all these thoughts, and they made more sense than it's now 3 months later, and I've, for the most part, lost them. It was kind of the same thing that we just talked about on The Convent in our Patreon exclusive. Check that out.
Yeah, $1 a month.
Is it didn't pick a lane with how he was going to get from point A to point B, which is, not normal. He was never normal, to completely his day-to-day life, to completely crazy guy who's just going to shoot somebody on live television, right? So that was what needed to happen, is he needed to get from, okay, he's a working clown, he lives with his mother who has her own issues, and he needs to become this guy that's going to shoot Robert De Niro on TV. And instead of picking, okay, we're going to use his mental illness as the train to get us there, it said, we're going to take his mental illness and the train to get us there. We're going to also throw in the Waynes for no reason and have him maybe related, maybe not related to him. We're going to throw in his mom lying to him his whole life, and then when he asks her for the truth, she lies to him again. We're going to have this made-up girlfriend. We're going to have depression. We're going to have anxiety. We're going to have bullying. We're going to have random act of violence on the subway, random act of annoyance on the subway. And it instead of, like I said, instead of focusing on one thing and letting that one thing breathe and become part of his character, it jumped between 7 to 10 things to get him there. And it's just hard to stay on that track for me. It's hard to focus on where are these things actually taking him. We don't need all of those things to get him there.
No, I could see that, but
because he has his depression and anxiety without being related to potentially Thomas Wayne. He has his depression and anxiety without being bullied by random kids on the street and losing his mental health support and losing his job. Like, pick one of those things to push him further down, and then you do the thing with the mother and push him further down. You don't do all 10 things. That's my point behind it.
Dude, I totally see your point of view, and I agree to a certain extent. But when things are going bad, like when you're at that low point, which I think he definitely was, and I think we can both agree he was at a low point, it feels like everything terrible is happening to you at the same time. Little things are blown up into big things.
Right.
Things you wouldn't give the normal time of day become massively important.
But these were all actual big things happening to him within the span of like 3 days, right? He loses his mental health support. He loses his job, which one thing could lead to another there. Then he goes down this rabbit hole to find his dad and finds out it's Thomas Wayne, but it's not Thomas Wayne. Really, we could have just left the Waynes out of it. Honestly, if you want it to be a completely separate movie, don't bring the Waynes into it. Or do the thing where you're mentioning them on TV in the background, that Thomas Wayne is holding this fundraiser or whatever. Don't make him his parent. That's stupid. It's not needed.
Well, I don't think he actually was.
Well, he wasn't, but I don't even think you need that plot thread of him thinking that he is.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I wish I could go back and find my Twitter rant about it, because my thoughts would be much more concise on it. And they were then, and they're not now. And I'm not trying to, like I said, I'm not trying to diminish the thoughts of depression and anxiety and how that affects people, because I know it does, and I know it's a serious thing. I just don't think I didn't feel like it was properly portrayed in this. I deal with anxiety myself, but I've also worked in a place where we're servicing teenagers who deal with these kind of issues. I've never seen it that way.
No, that wasn't my point. That's not necessarily a good portrayal. It's a good sensation.
Right, there are definitely parts of it that are like, yeah, that's exactly what these people feel. But then there's also a bunch of shit piled on top of that that's not necessary to get that point across. My feeling.
Dude, that's totally fair. I'm looking at it like as a whole instead of those individual pieces. Like that conglomerate of that erratic jumping from crazy, high to crazy low.
Yeah, no, that definitely exists.
That I'm looking at it as the whole right there, and that's what I took from it as my favorite movie.
So how he reacts to everything, that I can see.
How he reacts, the flow of the movie, the way he comes to certain conclusions.
Right. That all makes sense. It's
frenetic.
The outside factors around him that are causing him to react this way aren't all necessary.
No, they're irrational.
They threw too many on him, because these are outside factors. They're not things he's thinking are happening. They're real things that are happening, and the way he reacts to them. They didn't need 10 of those things. They needed like 4.
But yeah, fair enough.
For him he could have had the same spiral. That's kind of my thought on it. And they didn't focus enough on how his mental illness can get him from A to B. They started to, and as soon as it started to get deep on that, they bounced to, well, let's see what Thomas Wayne's up to. But we don't care about Thomas Wayne. He doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think they weren't fully committed to the...
Right. They wanted to have a portrait of mental illness, but they also didn't want it to be too deep of a thing.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want it to actually depress people. So you come up with this, half-assed showing of it. And that's kind of how I felt. My 2019 favorites were either Avengers Endgame, for every reason that exists. It did what it set out to do. Tony Stark's character flow in that movie was amazing.
Great ending.
The last 30 minutes of that movie, of the battle, I could throw that on anytime and watch it.
Yeah, they're intense as shit. And
there's some times in the first movie. 2.5 hours where I don't need to watch that whole part, the whole first 2.5 hours, but the last half an hour, basically when 2014 Thanos comes forward and bombs Avengers home base and to the end, you got to sit for it.
Pretty much. It has my favorite moment out of the entire MCU, which is saying something. There's a lot of fucking awesome moments.
Yeah. And then the aforementioned Good Boys, for very different reasons. It was a legitimately funny movie, which my wife and I both laughed throughout the whole thing, which we never do anymore. Usually it's something that I just find funny, or it's something she just finds funny, or nobody finds it funny. Good Boys was hilarious from start to finish. It's about these, I think they're 12-year-old kids, and they want to go to this party, but they stole their father's drone and broke it, so they have to replace that, otherwise they're going to be grounded and not be able to go to the party. So it's like they're this adventure through their day of just how these irrational 12-year-olds react to every little thing that happens to them while they're trying to replace this drone. It's absolutely hilarious in how the kids react to situations, because you could see it having been a 12-year-old boy of being like, well, yeah, A equals C, so B plus D must also equal C, so let's do this thing. And you talk your friends into it, and you go out there and you do this stupid thing that's never going to work, but you all think it's going to work because it's a great idea.
And then it blows up in your face.
Exactly.
Yeah, been there.
If you want a good laugh, watch Good Boys. It's hilarious.
I'll be watching that on our movie night on Friday.
Yes.
Sounds awesome.
Your wife should enjoy it as well. If my wife enjoyed it, then anybody's wife will enjoy it.
Hell yeah.
Do we have anything else?
I think that's it.
I think that's it too. That is it for the 2010s officially. You know, they've been over for a month, but this is officially the end of them for us. We're never going back to that decade again.
Never ever. But again, what a fucking decade it was.
I guess. There was some good. There was some bad. There was some Bucky Larson. But
there's
some hell of a ride. And
heck of a lot of Marvel.
Yeah, a lot of Marvel. Marvel really ruled the decade. If I had to say one thing, the decade of movies is Marvel became a true powerhouse.
Pretty much. Disney is back for the win.
That's true too. So thank you everyone for listening. You can check us out on Twitter at APA something, at alone_podcast. We got a Patreon. That's patreon.com/podcast about something. As we mentioned, we just covered 2000's The Convent in a random review. Whew,
worth listening.
That was a wild ride.
Check it out.
Yeah, definitely worth listening. Not worth watching the movie, but if you've seen it and want to listen to something, go listen to it. Do it. There probably aren't a lot of podcast episodes out there focused on 2000's The Convent. So if you're really missing that in your life, we've got it for you.
We got it for you. We got a bunch of other stuff there for you too.
You've seen the new logo at this point. We will have it on merch soon. You can visit what we have in the merch store now, tpublic.com/APA something. So you can check out what's available there and buy some cool stuff. And the music for podcasts about something is provided by those cats.
Yeah, stay sassy.
Stay classy.